Well, here we are, a week after the campaign, and as everybody knows by now, I'm sure, Hillary Clinton did not win the presidency, and Donald Trump did. And as outrageous as it seems to many that Donald Trump is going to be the next president of the United States, nobody can say they didn't see it coming. They did see it coming, but they didn't want to admit they saw it coming. And if you want to take a look at one polling organization that got it right from the get-go, we're going to take a look at this. Okay? This is right here, the LA Times, this one right there. LA Times USC tracking poll had Trump up by 3. Why did they have him up by 3 and everybody else had Hillary winning? But look at this, on average by 5 points, winning by 3 points. Even at the end, they had, in the final results, they had Hillary winning by almost a point, 3/4 of a point. The reason is that the LA Times USC poll selects a pool of potential voters early on in the process, and they re-poll those people every single day. And it's a very good cross-section of the American electorate, from Democrat to Republican, all age groups. They cover everybody, and they keep checking them. And they wondering if they're changing their minds, if their views changed, has the news affected them. And what they found was that throughout it, Trump was going to win this election. The rest of the polls use different methodologies, and often the methodology, I think, affects their views, and are not that accurate. So here we are. Hillary won. Why did Hillary win is the really big question. And the simplest question, under the rule of Occam's razor, which this site is named for, is a simple one. People didn't like Hillary. Okay? They didn't like Hillary for a long time. A lot of Americans, especially the Americans in the Midwest, the folks in the Rust Belt, the people that used to work in factories, didn't like the Clintons because of Bill's NAFTA deal. Towns in the Midwest that used to have 10 or 20 factories of different sizes and shapes, many of them today have none. People that worked in the energy industry, that worked in the coal industry, got legislated out of business and put on the unemployment lines with the stroke of a pen from the EPA. They don't like that. People in the Midwest like to work. They believe in work, and they believe that all politics is local, as the famous Tip O'Neill once said. And you have a lot of people now in the Midwest that used to have good $25 to $40 an hour jobs working in factories and building things for America, are now flipping hamburgers and working part-time and earning minimum wage. They don't know what to tell their kids. They don't know what to tell anybody. They're just being affected. And when you have that many people affected, and you're not getting any solid solutions from your former Democrat Party. Many of these people were Democrats at one time. They supported the Democrat values. Well, the Democrat Party left behind all these people. The elites in New York, the elites in Los Angeles and San Francisco left the Democrats behind. They abandoned them. They abandoned independents who were also more progressive-leaning, perhaps. And here they are. They're all out of work today. And when Donald Trump came along, maybe they didn't like everything he said, and maybe he did say some outrageous things, but at least he was being straightforward. And he did it his way, and he managed to whoop Hillary by spending a fraction of the $1.3 billion that she spent running around getting huge cash donations from Goldman Sachs, investment banks, and hedge funds in New York, and Hollywood celebrities. To people that are having a hard time economically, they don't care who George Clooney's going to vote for. He's a multimillionaire. He's very rich. He gets paid $10 million, $20 million a movie. They want to know what's in it for me. How am I going to get my family going? How am I going to get my kids into college? How are my children going to have a better life? And the Democrat Party offered nothing. They absolutely offered nothing. So here we are today. Who are they blaming on the election? The FBI director. They're not blaming Hillary for lying to the American people about her emails, and they're not blaming Hillary Clinton for being in cahoots with the Democrat Party, trying to make sure that she was the only candidate that got presented. They're mad at the FBI director. They're not mad at Hillary over Benghazi, who decided in the early hours, before anybody knew how long people were going to be fighting for their lives there, and 4 people died, how long that battle was going to take place. They decided a few hours in not to do anything, not to send anyone. First time in history a U.S. base has ever been under attack, and the U.S. military didn't immediately send everybody available, because you don't know how long a battle is going to last. And can you imagine the backlash if those 45 or 50 CIA operatives working over in the annex had been all killed? this would have been a political disaster. And of course, that's why Benghazi turned into a mess and everybody lied about it despite knowing the truth from the earliest hours. Hillary knew 2 hours after the attack who was doing it. She told her daughter, Chelsea, who it was by name. The president of Libya contacted the State Department and told them who it was, and they came out with this absurd story about YouTube videos because they were afraid how it was going to affect the narrative leading into the midterm elections. Let's cut the, let's not play it for anything else other than it was. And that cost her a lot of votes. No, it wasn't a crime, or not a crime, but it was dishonesty. And then we saw Hillary dishonest again when the email situation came up. Everybody saw it. The FBI director's statement couldn't have been more plain. And now they're mad at the FBI director. I'm sorry, Hillary lied to the American people all throughout that process about what was on her server. It came out that they destroyed documents that were under subpoena. And then, of course, here's another one on the blaming the FBI director. And then, of course, you had the issues of the WikiLeaks. And while folks in New York and San Francisco and in the big media tried to spin it as a violation of trust that the Russians or somebody stole those emails, people in the Midwest, people that are looking for jobs and trying to find answers, that want simple solutions as much as possible, saw those leaks as nothing but skullduggery. They saw how the DNC was openly trying to subvert their best interests in the election, how they were trying to manipulate the election. And there were some pretty nasty comments in there as well about people that hadn't gone to college like so many of them have. Well, not everybody goes to college, all right? And college isn't for everyone. And the liberals in America seem to forget that. And at the end of the day, we come down to a terrific clip that was on Bill Maher's show. If you like Bill Maher, he summed it up pretty darn perfectly on his program 4 days after the election. This was it, and this was an exchange that took place, and it's absolutely fascinating. Watch.
Democratic Party, back me up on this, guys, sort of lost the white working man. That's what they used to have. And they made the white working man feel like your problems aren't real because you're mansplaining. And you check your privilege. But you know what? If your life sucks, your problems are real. Right. And you know what should I do? Cut my dick off and check my privilege?
Right. Now, do you really think that's like liberals' fault? There's that saying like
oh, I do.
A white person, equality feels like oppression.
If there's a silver lining this for me personally, it's the two issues I have been on the case of liberals for, and they've been booing me about this for years, and maybe they'll listen. One is political correctness. I think I did a show about that for 9 years. You're outrageous with your political correct bullshit, and it does drive people away. And two, Islam. Islam, Democrats, there's a terrorist attack, and Democrats' reaction is, don't be mean to Muslims, instead of how can we solve the problem of shit blowing up in America. Yeah. And, that's not a good way to get...
The problem with American politics, let's make this straight, the problem with American politics is we don't cater enough to white men.
And there you have it. The lady that just made that absurd comment is part of the progressive problem. Her facial expression tells the whole tale. It's absolutely wonderful. And let's finish up this video with this wonderful clip from John Oliver's program, which pretty well sums up the Democrat views of where all this is going now and what they think of the past year. And being called spoiled sports doesn't begin to describe what you're about to see.
Go fuck yourself.
Fuck you, 2016. Fuck you. That's our show. Thanks so much for watching. Let's all try harder next year.
The irony of that, of course, is that they played the Ode to Joy by Beethoven. Very amusing. Have a great week. Bye-bye.